speed, stamina, strength, stretch. Infinite areas for expansion.
Handstands.
Yeah, so where are you up to? I've seen you kicking up. The thing,
Yeah.
getting smooth on getting back on the floor, John. That's probably the biggest thing with handstands. If we're talking about, watch about how people catch the bar in power cleans. The thing with handstands is watch how people get back to the floor. So I want you to be artful in placing your feet on the floor as much as you can, absorbing the force. The most likelihood of injury is actually ankles and toes in beginners doing handstands. So that's the thing to learn and to teach. That's why doing basic level locomotion, the frog sits are good for just getting that feeling of putting the feet on and off the ground, but like low level cartwheels and things that might feel really awkward are good for getting that feeling for putting body back on the ground.
Awesome. Yeah.
The wall is your best friend until you have a 30-second handstand. Even better than a wall is a hallway or a bar that you can put your feet either side of. So you've got like a rebalancing tool that's on both sides. If you've got something front and back, that's better than having just front or just back. And then you can practice both ways and you can get the duration that you want. You can be learning the whole time. Yeah. 6'10" handstands, right?
Yep.
There's not going to be many on that list.
Yeah.
6'10" with a handstand.
It's part of my warm-up for basketball games. I'll roll up my shoulders with a handstand, and people just look at me like, what is he doing?
Yeah. Some of them will be scared. Some of them will be thinking this guy's lost his shit. Some of them will be jealous, but that's their business. I like the courage to experience that, John. Put it out there. Express yourself as you need to. Expansion and fuller expression.
That's my full intention, is to be different.
Questions?
I'm also doing handstands and I'm having some problems with the wrists, particularly when I'm like going over and like rolling the wrist. So like stretching is really what I like. So when I get down, I usually do a somersault over. And I find that I stretch too much and
Yeah.
because I think I might be over-relying on the wrists and not balancing using the shoulders.
Yeah, so if you're overbalancing and you're going into back bridge or you're going, forward rolling, it's not a very efficient way to practice handstands. It's a cool skill and it's good to be able to do, but it's not something that I would recommend repeating for lots of repetitions because it uses more energy. So you're getting less density of training, you're getting less learning of the thing you really want to learn. Like I said with Johnny, the wall is your best friend. 2 walls are an even better friend. If you can put your feet either side of a bar, if you can set a band up in the squat rack, whatever it is, like a doorway chin-up bar is perfect for it. Where you kick up, put your feet on the bar and then put 1 foot either side of it, or in a hallway is even better because you get like a bigger range where you can transition between the 2 walls. You can then do that sideways as well as a really great drill if you have a hallway. I don't currently live in a place with a hallway, so I understand there's not always one around, but yeah, as far as like your wrists are going to adapt, if it's too much force, then you need to do the same thing lighter, slower, with less impulse. That's what's going to allow your wrists to adapt to that. The back bridge stuff can be really good for that, to be able to go like sissy squat, back bridge type positions, variations. There's a question here about best way to improve hip internal rotation on YouTube as well. Be interested in what comes up for you guys with that. I've never really focused on it. It's a thing that's come in, kind of FRC popularized it. Always look at the foundation of where an idea comes from. So why did internal rotation become this huge thing that everyone wants to talk about? Well, for FRC, the founder is a dancer, if I'm not mistaken. And FRC is a beautiful system. There's a lot of lovely guys who've done that system and become super mobile. He's a dancer. Dancers need to be mobile without load, without external forces. My background is rugby. It's more about load. dealing with load under force, and it just interests me more. So the way to get there for more internal rotation under load is squatting and letting the knees come together. Those variations of squatting and letting the knees come in, playing around with pistol squats and forcing, allowing more force into that area. You can get crazy good hip inter-rotation under load in that way. If you want to be able to get it passively, for me, it's a bit of a niche thing that you don't need unless you're a dancer. Generally, like, I don't think it has extreme utility for athletes, but you need to practice those positions then, and the FRC type movements, makes sense for that. But if you do squats, but do them through the lens of joint dominance, which means that the joint is the thing that's telling you whether you can do more or you can't, or you should do less. And so, starting with body weight and it's less than body weight assisted, using a band, but letting the knees come in on the squat, standing your feet out shoulder width or even wider than shoulder width, and letting the knees come in as you squat down. That's one that I like. I haven't played a lot with any of those other kinds of movements, and I have better hip internal rotation than 99% of people. I don't know. I think the pistols help, being able to sit down on the floor, and the pistol maybe adds to it. Overall, I'd say that's my take. Yeah. Anyone have anything big to add on that, or other questions?
I have nothing to add, but I have a completely different question. I've been looking into a lot of the WEC method stuff, and I was kind of just curious what your thoughts are. I know Ben Watson is real big on it. And I've been trying the head over foot and the double down and all that stuff, and it seems to help, but I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were.
Carl on YouTube said, thank you. So you're welcome, Carl. If you've got a follow-up, let me know. I can see your question there as well, Anas. WEC method. Ben Patrick went and did a session with David Weck. Ben Watson from our community is really into that work. Tim Sheaf from our network is really into the WEC method. They're probably the two biggest guys in WEC method from what I see, outside of David Weck's right-hand man there. Really interesting. He's clearly a deep thinker, and there's something to it. Graham Tuttle is also interested. He's interested in everything. He explores everything. The barefoot sprinter. I think there's something to it. I think I did a session with Graham doing some barefoot sprinting, and he's introducing that kind of concept of getting the head over the foot. I could see it in athletes as a coach. I didn't understand what they were doing, but a lot of the best movers and best athletes, their head is moving around in that way because they're partly giving the signal to the person in front of them, and they're also preparing themselves to make those movements. So I like it. I think that it's an area of skill development that is worthwhile. And there's lots of stuff within the WEC method as well. He's doing the ropes. He's got the clubs. He invented the Bosu ball. He's got the little jigglers in the hands. I'm not sure what they're called, but I think all this stuff's great. I think, put 25 minutes into anything that anyone will throw at you. Like, why would you not? Like, time's going to pass anyway. Have a look at it. Do you want to put 25 hours into it? Do you want to back that's going to make the difference to make your team the winning team? I don't know. These are the big decisions that coaches make. I value physics, especially in a high force sport like rugby that is my background. It's like, well, we need to be producing more force than the other guys, and we need to be producing that force quicker than the others. Yes, we can clean up biomechanics, but biomechanics probably aren't going to change that much. They're already professional athletes. They move pretty well. If their biomechanics are so bad that they keep getting injured, then we need to look for something. Can we optimize it? Sure, it's interesting. Let's give it 25 minutes. Let's put it in the warm-ups from time to time. Let's understand it. Let's feel it. Experiment with it. This is how I look at it. But it's a beautiful thing that he's brought a concept into the world he's brought various concepts into the world that others don't value, and it's funny how people want to throw massive stones at it. It's like, it is what it is. It's not going to help. It's not going to be the key part of producing more force to be the world shot put champion. It's not going to do that. But might add 0.5% to their biomechanics, which might be the thing that pushes them over, like if that's the limit. So the thing with all the skill side is the biomechanics, functional patterns, etc. is like there's less cost to it. When you're working on the physics, then you're thinking high force. When you're thinking high force, then there's either high neurological drive or there's high connective tissue drive, one or the other. If it's high force, you're either relying on the elasticity or you're relying on the nervous system to produce a lot of energy. Both of them, you have to be very aware of the cost. If you can get wins without that cost, without that risk, then take those wins. Take those wins. So, that's ATG as well. Is like there's a lot of wins without a lot of cost. The calf raises, the tib raises that everyone's flavor of the month to hate on at the moment. It's like there's no cost. What's the risk here? There's no neurological drive involved. There's almost no chance of injuring, straining that muscle. You never see it strained. So there's no risk in getting into the WEC stuff. If you're going to back it to be your secret weapon, depends on the sport. But yeah, I love that you're exploring it, Mike, and I love that Ben and Tim and other men are bringing it to the network. I'm up for 25 minutes of anything and beyond.
Appreciate that, Keith.
Any follow-up or feedback there?
Yeah, speaking of the ATG stuff, I've noticed as far as like warming up on the upper body days, I've noticed that it seems to like just get straight into the main workout, as opposed to like on lower days we have sled and stuff like that. Just trying to think of something that would be great for, I guess, say for instance on chest press or pull-up days to just kind of warm up the tissues. What would you recommend for that?
Yeah, this question's been asked a lot. The more pain in the body, the more injury that you've had in triceps and biceps, etc., the more explosive you're going to go in the workout, then the more you need to worry about this. There's a reason most people don't worry about it. It's because you kind of don't need to if you gradually work into things. The movements can be the warm-up. If you do have issues and you are worried about stuff, then looking like sled is concentric only short range. So you're looking for concentric only short range. So rope pulls, sled pulls with a rope, sled pushes, these are concentric only. They can be done concentric only for short range. You can also use a band, and I think Giorgo has been the master of applying the band. Nico maybe got it started moving the idea of using the band to really smash the short ranges. You can relax through the eccentric on the band, which makes it really concentric dominant. And the thing with the band is, this is a concept that Giorgos brought to me, is like, it's the shortest of the short range. So when you do terminal knee extension with the band, you're getting, it's not just the short range, it's that the last part of the short range is the hardest part. So it's the shortest of the short range. It's kind of a confusing concept, but the band is hardest at the shortest position. So that also works.
At the end range, right?
Yeah.
It's hardest at the end range.
I wouldn't say end range because it just makes, it depends what you, okay. But yeah, if you're talking about the knee, then it's like the full knee extension. Yeah, if you're doing the pec across the body, then you can do it with a band, and you can do this stuff. If someone's had a pec injury and their pec tendon is bothering them when they bench, or if you want to do bench throws and you're worried about someone's pec, then yeah, like getting a big pump into it without stretch, that cross-body movement is a great movement. If someone doesn't feel their pecs on bench press and they really want bigger pecs and you're their coach and they value that, then these cross-body movements is a beautiful movement. Short range, pec work. But yeah, the rope, you can get those machines that are like continuous rope, like that's a really good one for the upper body as an example. But yeah, they're not everywhere. You can do seated sled pulls, pretty much the same thing. You'll get enough tricep. It's more of a pulling thing, but the concept is, it's not just about the local thing. So yeah, like the sled is actually going to tell you how good an athlete is as well, to an extent. But the guys who can absolutely crush heavy sled over 100 meters, they jump super high. So it's really nice and specific. It's to the jumping thing, because that terminal knee extension is really important for the takeoff of especially 1 foot jumping, right? So you get that really nice correlation between the sled and the dunk, which was the end goal game for Ben Patrick, right? So that's how it fits together really nicely. If you're all about the 1 arm chin up, then you might plug in the rope machine, or you can do it with a rope over a high bar, so like a pulley that you let it go up and down. Like there's ways you can set it up, but you might hit shitload of volume of that. You get a lot of volume, so you neurologically wire in that specific movement, so you're getting like double gains. You're getting prepared for the session, but you're also getting crazy amount of volume in the thing that you want to be really good at, which I think is a superpower of the sled that people might underestimate when they're throwing stones at the ATG system. It's like, well, you know, neurologically, these guys have done more of that than anyone else, and something good is coming from that.
Could you use a bend with the pull-up bar and just only hit the top range? Or?
I wouldn't, but you could. I would do like a banded pull down in preference to that, because it's just messy and ugly, you know. But for my personal preference, but you know,
Makes sense.
it doesn't make you a bad person if you like it and you enjoy it. Yeah. Any follow up with that? Does that concept make sense? There's a question here about cracking hip when lifting and lowering the leg. I would say that means that something's catching in the joint. You could go to an orthopedic specialist, you could MRI it, you can look, but something's rubbing against something. Is it bony? Probably a bit. Is it got some connective tissue on it? Probably as well. Working more blood flow into that hip, working more function into the hip without annoying it. If there's no pain, I wouldn't be really worried about it. And I would work on loaded function into the hip. Being strong in all 4 directions. So being able to get your knee to your chest actively is an important one for planche. It kind of goes with that internal rotation comment. Do you really need to be able to pull your knees to your chest actively when you're hanging from a bar? Well, not unless you want to be really good at handstands or tuck planches. The more you can curl yourself into a tiny little ball, the more cool handstand stuff you're going to be able to do. Pretty good for divers as well, pretty important for divers. Work with an Olympic diver. There's feedback coming through there, Johnny. I don't know. Yeah, so you want to hit those 4 directions. So you want to hit, like work towards a dragon pistol, go really light with that, or dragon squat, work towards your side split, work towards being able to put your knee to your chest in the bottom of a pistol, and then work towards the maximal knee extension with back bridge stuff. I really like the bottom of the natural knee extension or reverse Nordic as kind of a progression on the couch stretch. But yeah, if you improve in all those directions, the ATG split squat, there's multiple movements at each joint, but if you can improve the amount of load you can handle in each of those directions. For the cracking hip, I want the loading into the joint. So it'd be more like the diagonal stretch and the rear foot elevated split squat. That would be like loaded hip extension under stretch. So you're loading the stretch into extension. Yeah, you might have to listen back to that to catch it all, but the concept of strength in all 4 directions under compressive load. I like compressive load against the joint. If it's a meniscus issue and such, I hear people saying they're using this stuff, but it's different. If it's a meniscus issue, if it's like the joint surface is degraded, then I want compressive load and sometimes traction load, but mostly compressive load into that joint. So compressive load into the shoulder, handstand, push-ups, dip supports. This is compressive load into the shoulder if there's issues with the joint surface. If it's the knee, then I want heavy step-ups. I don't want just the light step-ups and sled. Oh, I've been doing sled, I've been doing banded. No, you need compressive load because I want the joint surfaces to be pushing against each other because that's how they're going to have to adapt. How much load? Well, the amount that you feel good after the day after. If it needs to feel better the day after, or at least no worse, and you're getting more and more stuff done as you handle more and more load. Mike, you got to teach us about this dance, brother. You got to put a little tutorial into Connected today I'm going to get started on this. I've been watching you shuffle, and I've been meaning to ask you, so I'm asking you now.
I'm working on the basic salsa steps.
Yeah, put it up, bro. Put it up as make a little tutorial. I know you've been filming. This is your first
Will do.
serious change the world upload to YouTube.
Will do.
Why I'm salsa dancing and how, tell the story and show us how to get started.
All right. We'll see you later today.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Nothing on the golf swing though? Just man stuff?
I didn't see the golf.
Oh, no,
Show me the golf again.
I was doing a little drill too for the golf swing.
All right. Yeah,
Multiple passes.
Good. This is expansion at its best. You got space for everything when you use expansion method. I've been thinking about another version of expansion where it's like 2 minute dents. So every 2 minutes you do 1 to 5 repetitions, which gives you a nice big block of time to do whatever else you want to do. Takes a little bit of the emphasis off the strength and off endurance. Gives you a little bit longer. So you could do 5 strength sets. You could do 5. You could do the skill in between. Go 5 strength sets upper body, 5 strength sets lower body, and become crazy skillful. Also, the thought that I had with it was, what if you did the first 3 sets like that, and then the last 2 sets, you went like strength emphasis on the second last set, so like giant set type deal, and then mobility emphasis on the last one. This is like 10 minutes of power, how to get the most out of 10 minutes. Because 10 minutes of dance is kind of wasteful when you think about it. If you don't do other stuff, it's like, if you're only doing 10 minutes a day, you're not hitting speed, skill, stamina, strength, stretch. If you've got other questions, you can hit there's a couple coming in here on YouTube as well. So what's your top upper body and lower body exercise? DB, it's too general. How do you heal an inflamed IT band? Yeah, bring a lot of blood flow into the area without annoying it. The sleds will be good to start with, and then your couch stretch will be the solution. You want to change that whole fascia, the lateral hip and the quad. You can't have it when you're doing the ATG type stuff. You need to get your couch strong. You need to be able to do like a hack squat or a deep knee bend. We're working towards reverse Nordic. But yeah, just start with the stuff that makes it feel good, and then very lightly do the stuff that puts stretch into that area. You'll nail it. Crack cartilage in the knee. I think I just answered that one pretty well. Also, you got to look at the central, like this is looking at it through the microscope, through the straw, is like compressive load and ATG system. If you take the bigger view, are you stressed? Do you love yourself? What level of anxiety is your baseline? If your body's not going to rebuild if you're constantly telling it you're at war. No one's talking about this, but this is the underlying message as well. And that's why the calmness of the ATG message and the way that it's delivered, the certainty with which it's delivered, but the energy with which it's delivered is part of the solution. There's always an energetic component as well as a mechanical and chemical component to healing the body. So the chemical component of healing the body, do you have the good stuff in the blood? Are you consuming glycine in particular, collagen, very important for joint health, like heals like. Consume joints if you want stronger joints. Create stimulus in the area, but make sure the things are in the blood that are needed in the blood to get it in there. You need the gut to be functioning well enough for it to get in there. You don't want extreme systemic inflammation from things like leaky gut. But yeah, it starts with loving yourself and loving your life. When I look back at the athletes who had chronic stuff, often you can see, like without knowing the full story, there was a big load of turmoil. The guys who kept going from injury to injury and weren't making it, they had inner chaos and often really tough stuff that had happened to them as children. It's part of why they were really promising as athletes, because they were super aggressive and they were very capable and hardwired to fight. But at the same time, they had no off switch. They had no ability to relax. So, yeah, that's another way to answer the question of how do I fix my knees? If I only had 2 exercises as a thought experiment, yeah, it's not really an interesting thought experiment, because if you have your body weight, you have other exercises. But for the sake of academia, I really like snatches, and yeah, I go full snatches and split snatches. So I'm hitting split squats, I'm hitting all kinds of skill, I'm hitting squat. Full snatches and split snatches is the one movement. I'm taking the liberty of doing that. If you had to choose, I guess I would take the split squat snatch, because then you get both legs in the split squat, as well as squat stimulus, as well as lower back, all that stuff. And then I'd probably take the handstand push-up, just because it's a beautiful thing and, you know, drives the ladies wild. They don't understand the snatch. It's not intuitive. I've been doing back somersaults here into the pool. It's like lots of people at the pool. What's this old guy doing, working on his back somersaults? Little do they know. It's the secret sauce. It's the solution to everything. What's the key, gentlemen? Your next athletic progression. Skill, speed, stamina, strength, stretch. Body composition. Getting into positions you weren't able to get into before. What's the most important challenge question?
Body composition for me.
You're welcome, DB, PV. I don't know who you are. You can drop me a message on Instagram if you want me to know who you are, if I already know you. Yeah, body composition, John. I would be focusing super deep on the health side of things with the broth, collagen, and then I think one that might help you, John, that a lot of people aren't aware of, is that honey has fructose, and some people don't break fructose down very well. Fructose has to be broken down by the liver. And if it doesn't get broken down by the liver, something else will break it down. What will that something else be? If it's floating around in the blood and it's not getting broken down by the liver, it will be other microorganisms that can break it down, because other cells in the body don't break it down. So a lot of people it's common to have an overloaded liver for various reasons. It's that the liver is doing a bunch of work already, and it's not able to deal with big amounts of fructose. And so it's very, very common at the moment to see fungal issues that are related to not being able to break down fructose. Honey is the biggest one. A lot of fruits have fructose. Some fruits are low in fructose, but a lot of guys getting skin conditions doing carnivore plus fruit and honey. And it's just, that's something that might be useful to consider. Dave O'Brien put me onto all that, and it's probably can probably break it down physiologically much better.
Nice. Thanks, both.
But yeah, the fasting as well is probably the other beautiful thing there, because there's a big healing element to fasting. If I'm talking health and body composition, you just don't eat. And then when you eat really well, and then don't eat again. And there's a powerful healing force in that. If you have high stress, then it's not necessarily going to work that well, and you don't want to fast too much under too much stress. But yeah, I think the goal is to, if you want optimal body composition, then you need to control stress, because if you're natural, then your testosterone is going to be inversely proportional to cortisol. It's a fight. There's pregnenolone still. So pregnenolone is the base, and then it's either going to become testosterone or it's going to become cortisol. So if all the energy is going to cortisol, because it's like, hey, we need to burn a fire right now to deal with the cold, versus I'm going to build a house. A house is a long-term project, which is a testosterone, which is if there's time and space, then you build the house. If there's no time and space, you start a fire. This was the analogy that was the story, the way that Charles Poliquin explained it at BioSig. He worked with a lot of different functional medicine doctors, and he was hated on for being into functional medicine as well. It's all woo-woo and all that. But yeah, it's either going to be cortisol or testosterone. So if you're injecting testosterone, then it's a different game. You don't have to be as diligent with managing your emotions and your training volume. It's another reason to choose to listen to people who are natural if you want to train naturally and such, because then they understand a bit more of what you're going through. But yeah, the fasting can push the cortisol if you're stressed and if you're training hard. So you want to use your food around your training, but also learn to be more chill within your training. Yeah, if you're putting extra hormones in, then you can stress the shit out of yourself when you're training, and maybe it's better. The cortisol pulls things down, and we want high cortisol. We want cortisol to go up when we train. If cortisol doesn't go up when we train, and we don't get that pain relief and feel bulletproof when we're training, that's not good. We want cortisol there, but then we want to be able to get it to go back down as well. Insulin is a way to get cortisol to go down, which is why people self-medicate with sugar. And then, there's something to all that conversation of the repeat stuff and that, but I don't know about it. I think there's so many gut issues going on that it's a dangerous thing to say we just need to throw in the sugar.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of repeat. I couldn't get to it for me.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah.
Appreciate that, Keeks.
Welcome.
Just not gonna jump off of here. My tablet's about to die, so.
Good to see you, Johnny.
Talk to you guys later.
Speak soon.
Have a good day, guys.
Have a great
Yes,
one.
sir.
I've got 10 more minutes here. Humble goal of 3-plate ATG squat for a single. How much can you do for 10D1 at the moment? Comfortably would be the question I would ask Mr. DB on YouTube. If you can have that comfortable number and then progress with how easily you can get it. Slow eccentric, pause in the bottom. If you can patiently improve the way that you're able to execute with the same weight, then you'll be ready for the next weight. This is another model of progression with dense. So use the same weight, but make it more difficult for yourself. And then also squats, pushing squat numbers up, super high reps are really valuable. Who's got the best legs in the world? Which group of athletes? Yeah, it depends what kind of legs you like, Alex. I mean, like most maximally developed legs, naturally, potentially naturally. What are you saying there, Jonas?
Saying, is it cyclists?
Yeah, for me it's sprint cyclists. From what I've seen, sprint cyclists have the most freakish legs because they don't put any stimulus into, or they put less stimulus into the upper body, and they put concentric only high volume stimulus in. They tend to do high volume leg presses, and then they also tend to do heavy squats. Some of them only chase like 10 and 20 RM, but some of them will squat 1 RMs. Their legs often look like distorted, and for sure there's probably some performance enhancing drugs in the past or history of some of the best legs that you can see on YouTube that have come from that background. But that doesn't disprove the method, because there's steroids being used by all kinds of men for all kinds of purposes, and they don't get legs like that. So that's the other secret weapon here for DB would be like hit that crazy volume in the legs, even on potentially cycling, rowing, like just blowing up the legs. I think is a superpower. You see it with CrossFit, right, Fab? Like you see, especially some of the women, you think like those, the size of the thighs, and they are doing this. They're hitting like that super high volume concentric stuff, as well as high volume eccentric, as well as maximal. And I think CrossFit's well proven as a natural hypertrophy method. It doesn't have to be that complex, but it's it's a beautiful, complex solution to training. These are things that I would consider. If I gave that advice to myself in the past when I've wanted to squat bigger weights, I've focused way too much on the 1 to 10 rep range and way too little on the rest of that equation, thinking I need to save my energy for it or something, but it doesn't work. you probably got thoughts on that, Fab, with having the bike background as well as the CrossFit background.
Yeah, I can see that when I was practicing CrossFit a lot, and I wasn't doing that much of very intensive, like heavy rep. I was more doing like a lot of repetition every day, and my body was big at this time and wasn't doing much more than just doing a lot of volume. And it helped to develop muscle way more than when I was just doing regular bodybuilding.
Yeah, it's a good message for Finn as well. Finn was in here before. It's we should talk to him about that. I'll see if I can. It's at 35 minutes. What else is in focus athletically?
I wanted to ask you some more about the Schroeder stuff, because I've been, at least what I think is Schroeder style exercises with like the drop catch reps with the medicine ball. I am terrified of doing that shit with the barbell. Like I try to do it, but my brain is like, nope, no chance. Do you have any like recommendations on how to kind of work through that? Because like with the medicine ball, I'm not worried because it's a Dynamax. You know, like if I don't catch it, it's not gonna hurt. And then catching it with the wrist, there's no fear whatsoever. But like, you know, a 45-pound or 20-kilo barbell, it's still not heavy, but I have like that mental block of not being really like, I'll let go of it, but my arms won't move, then I'll catch it, then I'll do a quick rep. But it's not the same as, you know, straight up dropping it and then exploding it, catching it, where it's, you get what I'm saying?
I do.
Hopefully.
I do. So yeah, Jay Schroeder has various methods, and various coaches have used drops and catches at different times. The DB Hammer, Dietrich Buchenholz's book, Sport, is a really good one that came out around that time. Some people say it was Jay Schroeder writing through a ghostwriter. Chris Korfist and Dan Fichter are students of Schroeder, but they were also really connected with this mystical DB Hammer character that was stirring up massive controversy in 2005. But yeah, there's beauty in that method. The Adam Archuleta stuff, that you can find it on YouTube. I've put it in one of the courses in Uncommon Success. I don't know if it's published actually. There's a course on Impulse. But the Adam Archuleta stuff is really nice to see that work. And then if you search, you can find examples of these exercises. The Sport was a really nice example of the power stuff. But it doesn't have to have a bar at all. You can do a lot of it with body weight. It can be around push-ups, it can be around squats, it can be around chin-ups, and you can use the same physics with those movements. So one answer is, don't worry about barbells if you're scared of it. Another answer is, slay the dragon. What are you scared of barbells for? They're only teeth. What do you need them? You can always get fake ones. But no, seriously, like, just do it more slowly and more under control, and do it in ways, bench press, you're dropping it where it would hit, like mid-chest. You're not dropping it where it would land on your teeth. So if you drop it on your chest, you're going to be fine. Worst case, you crack a rib, but it's unlikely. You can use a lighter bar, you can do it more slowly, and you can do it like just dropping it like 1 inch to start with. So cut the distance down. If you've got ladies bars around or broomsticks, like warm yourself up a bit more with it. Don't mean to take the piss, but you're there in a military outfit, bro, and like, don't be scared of barbells. If you're operating firearms and you're in the most powerful military in the world, then you can get through this, and it'll be a good thing. All of these things, like every man should do back somersaults because they're scary. If you haven't done back somersaults on a trampoline into a pool, you should do that. We had a lot of back somersaults happening there in Montenegro last year, just a little bit after now. It's great. Get that massive adrenaline dump, put yourself into it. if you're getting a little bit of that with the barbell, it's a beautiful thing.
Appreciate it, Keegs. All right, gents, I got to run. Appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Show us your barbell throws in the near future there, Michael. Keep slaying the dragons. I love the dancing, bro. You cutting loose.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Any last thoughts here? Anyone like to share questions? On a different note, then, Manuel, you have to speak to Jonathan Hulados if you haven't spoken to him recently. He sent me a beautiful video of what he's got there in Greece. It's so beautiful, and he's progressing at a rapid rate as well. It's a huge inspiration how you can have a village for a very, very small amount of money, and relative to what people think it takes to have their dream lifestyle. It's so powerful. I can't wait to share this story. It's probably the best story yet in my network of anyone that I've worked with. Like where he's got to in 2 years. And I remember our first conversations. He was, one of the ones that was most challenging to energize and connect with. And if you haven't been connecting, you need to.
I've talked to him, and it's interesting because we got on a phase where both of us were starting something, and I actually was proposing to make the first event in Greece and not in Portugal, and I was just like trying to push him to let's do something in May, let's just do something, and I think he just wanted to. He said yes, but then we kept on talking, and then I think he just decided to do a little bit later. But yeah, his story is amazing. So I feel like me and him had I think we had 6 calls or 7 calls, or we had a lot of calls where we just pushing each other and just masterminding with each other really. And it's been great, and I love what he's doing there, And we connect a lot through Instagram, and it's good. It's good to see, and it's great when you're in this journey of building something and you see someone doing exactly the same thing with different concept and a different vibe, but at the same time, it's good to just talk and change ideas with each other. Yeah. So it's been fun. He's a great guy, also.
He is a great guy, and great athlete as well. And what you're doing is amazing as well, Manuel. I think the reason I'm singling his story out as an extra powerful one is because it's more of the personal journey that he's been on through this as well that I've seen, and his relationship with himself and money and all that stuff. I know that stuff more deeply with him, and feel like your big one's going to be the next one, and this one's like an interim one. But maybe I'm underestimating or misunderstanding what you're doing there. What you're doing is amazing anyway. It's not a competition. It's phenomenal to what you're doing in Portugal too.
It's fine, man. I'm honestly I'm just I don't think any of this it's not. I don't feel like it's a competition. And if it is a competition, it's a healthy one. He's doing something amazing. I'm like, okay, I need to step up and do something more amazing. And you'll think the same way. We just help each other. One of the conversations I had with him was like, man, if you need anything, any help, I can show you my business plan. I can show you how my brother has structured everything, and I'll just help you out however I can. Yeah. This, I think, my goal with the village, and it's just to help out people. It's a facility. Also, is going to help me, but I think the goal is to help out guys, and I know that maybe people don't understand a lot what I'm doing right now, because I don't have a lot of pictures of the place, I don't have a lot of image, but once it's out, I think it's going to blow everyone's mind, and everyone's going to be like, oh shit, this is actually looking quite amazing. So, just 3 more weeks, I think, and I'll have something to show you guys, and you guys are going to be like, oh shit, it's actually looking quite special.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Looking forward to seeing it. Well done, putting all the work in, and yeah, believing in the thing before other people believe in it, before they can see it, is the key to doing anything useful in life. Persisting when others think you're nuts is also a prerequisite for extreme success. You might never be recognized for the genius of what you're doing, but there's certainly genius in it. And yeah, well done, congratulations, and look forward to seeing the guys there, getting there myself. I'm rocking the Moochie strength as well. This village in Puerto Rico is under construction. Maybe it's already there, with Moochie drawing inspiration from everything that's going on as well. So there was a question. I got to jump out, but there was a question there, last one, about sun in Montenegro. I haven't been in Montenegro too much over the last year. I'm in Mexico at the moment for the last 6 months, and there's lots of sun here and there's lots of sun there. Sun is a good thing for health. I think it's probably overplayed a little bit by Dr. Jack Cruz and the impact of sun on health, with seeing the sunrise and all that stuff. There's something to it, but in my experience, it's not as big as what the sun lovers would like to say, at least as far as health goes. Maybe there's more with consciousness and deeper levels of what you can get from the sun. But I'm a big fan of the sun. In saying all that, if you're not getting much sun, then I think you need to do cod liver oil and special stuff for vitamin D. Yeah, it was a pleasure, gentlemen. If you're watching the YouTube, I was speaking to Uncommon Pro players live in our masterminding group where we do work and connect with each other. Yeah, I'm planning on, I think we're going to do more of these. We're going to do around social media with Moochie and Liam. We'll do them around business. Today's one ended up being mostly athletic, which is cool. We'll give a little bit more structure to some of these conversations. Still, yeah, that's the part of the plan moving forward. But appreciate you all. Have an amazing rest of the day. Look forward to speaking soon. Till next time.